Good afternoon, baseball fans. Is it afternoon? Morning? Oh, no, it's afternoon. It is literally afternoon. So, good afternoon, baseball fans. It is Bourbon and Baseball, All the Balls edition. I'm Suzy. That is Kelsey. And away we go. It has been a hot minute since it's just been the two of us, Kels. I'm very quite excited to talk ball with you.
Yeah,
Um,
you know what? You said good afternoon, and I was just thinking it is afternoon for everyone except for Dodgers fans in LA. So it's fine. We're not pandering to them. So it's okay.
That's okay.
Good.
This show will never actually pander to Dodger fans, and on that note, we are going to give the rated R warning because this is a rated R podcast, words are hard, for all of the cuss words that will be said on the podcast, mainly by me though, just because that's who I am as a person, and also because we're talking about Dodgers fans. There probably will be sprinkled in just a few more, but if for some reason that hurts your delicate sensibilities, you should probably get on out of here, go find another baseball podcast that doesn't cuss. I don't know if there are any that are fun anyways and listen to those. I'm just saying. You should probably stick around though, because we are a good time. And with that, away we go. Kels, we talked about Dodger fans a little bit. We mentioned Dodgers fans. Is there a more trash fan base than the Dodgers?
Listen, I think it's a little subjective because there's definitely been other fan bases who have done similar things to what we saw in
Yankees. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Just had
game
a
2 of the National League Division Series between the Dodgers and the Padres. Last night, if you were not tuned in, or maybe you were tuned in, but you weren't online to see what was going on that they weren't showing on camera, not only were there multiple fans who threw balls onto the field at Jerks and Profar after he made an unbelievable, very relevant catch in
yes.
left
Robbed
field in
Mookie
like
Betts.
3 rows into the stands in an earlier inning. And first of all, I just want to say that I feel like he was given a little bit of trolling to those fans, but they interviewed him right afterwards in the dugout, Kenny Rosenthal, and I just thought it was so pure and so joyful. It was like the most wholesome trolling I've ever seen in my life, and it was like that good kind of good banter back and forth, like very much in the spirit, maintaining the integrity of the game. So, by no means do I think that Jerks and Profar eggs that on. And regardless, there's no excuse for it. So not only were there balls thrown onto the field, there was apparently like trash and other random debris being thrown at the outfielders. So just imagine you're at your job, whatever you do for your job, you're at your job, and somebody comes in and starts throwing shit at you because that is the equivalent. I don't care which way you spin it. That's what happened at Dodger Stadium last night. And they stopped the game. Mike Schilt called, the umpires. There were apparently 20 plus security guards that were out there in the outfield making sure that the players were safe and trying to shut shit down. But did you hear they then had to make an announcement. I have never heard an announcement made like over a loudspeaker where they're usually just like pumping
Hmm.
the tunes
Yep.
and announcing the
That you
players.
could hear on the broadcast
Yes, that you could
too.
hear on the
Yeah.
broadcast that fans will be ejected and escorted out of the stadium, made to leave if you are throwing things on to the field.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they said it, the fact that it needed to be said. And I think there were multiple reporters there who were saying, we've seen this from Yankees fans, namely before, but never quite like that. It seemed like it was almost to the next level. So, of
Yeah.
course, I know some really great Dodger fans. I want to give a shout out to Clint Pasillas over at Dodgers territory because I have done I did my Dodgers episode with him on my podcast Peace Love and Baseball. He's a fantastic Dodger fan. He was like one of the first to say, "Hey you guys, what the hell is up with that? So not cool." If you're a Dodger fan and you're listening to this, you're welcome here, but get your fan base together. Put them in their place. Because what the
Yeah.
hell? It's just the not only the safety of the players and all of the employees at the stadium and other fans is being put at risk, but the integrity of the game was certainly affected as well. And fortunately, the Padres were able to make the most of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the Jerks and Profar thing, it wasn't right after the catch that they threw the ball
Right.
back. Jerks and
Right.
Profar robbed the home run that Mookie Betts so desperately really needed to get out of his 0 for 22 funk. We'll discuss that in just a minute as well.
Mhm.
But robs the home run, trolls him a little bit. It's not anything over the top, not
Not at
anything
all. No.
egregious. And literally, what, the eighth inning, seventh inning,
I
goes
think it
and
was 7.
hands the fan a ball. Now, granted, I never really understood the whole if the opposing team hits a foul ball or hits a home run and you catch it, you throw it back. I never understood that because as a baseball fan, like I'm so excited. I'm going to catch the ball and I'm going to
Yeah.
fucking keep that thing. But apparently that's the whole tradition, whatever. I don't understand why you're allowed to throw it back anyways. just because it was always a deal. So it's okay, so I'm only allowed to throw the ball when I mean it in a nice way, but not in a mean way. So all of that was it has been confusing for me just as a newer baseball fan to begin with. All right, whatever, fine. But if you don't want to keep the ball because you don't want the ball because it was hit by the rival team, fine. Find a little kid in your section and give that ball to them. Do you know how much of the day that you just made for that little kid? So one, don't throw shit on the field. Two, I didn't understand Jerks and Profar trying to be nice, and the Dodgers fan be like, "What?" Throwing back, okay, whatever. And then another ball got thrown his way. All of the shit that got thrown at Fernando Tatis in the on the other side, and then they were throwing shit at the bullpen because the bullpen is open.
Mm.
And I saw a video of them hitting, I want to say Robert Suarez with a beer bottle.
Oh my
Thankfully,
god.
it was an aluminum empty beer bottle,
Yeah,
but
no.
regardless,
Damn.
what are we doing here, people? What? Stop.
Yeah.
Just fucking stop it. I get it. And now it's Dodgers and Padres, and I really need to know who enemy number 1 is right now for the Dodger fans. Because for a long time, it was, depending on what era you were, it was Giants, and then it was Astros for a long time. But now I feel like it's Padres all the way, now that the Padres are relevant and giving them a run for their money. So, Dodger fans, if you're here and I didn't offend you away, I need to know, are the Astros still enemy number 1? Have the Astros just completely vacated that spot, and now are the Padres enemy number 1?
It sure
Because
seems
I
like
kind
it
of
is the
feel
Padres.
like it would be, especially since Astros are out of the way. Padres have been just all over the place, just making, for lack of a better term, really making the Dodgers not look like the vaunted Dodgers. And I get it.
Yeah.
There has been hurt players and all of that fun stuff, but man, it just looks like not really an equal kind of teams right now. I don't know. That's just me though. Maybe just a
I
tiny bit
agree.
of Dodger bias, just the tiniest bit.
No, I agree. I think the Dodgers are not at all the super team on paper that like right now due to
Right.
injuries and other things that they were ultimately made out to be. And
Hmm.
I think we talked about at the beginning of the season too that we didn't necessarily think that this was the Dodgers year. Like I certainly don't think they
Right.
signed Otani to win this year or
Right.
specifically and only this year. Like they weren't going all in. Whereas Peter Seidler and AJ Preller really last year, all the money that they spent, they were really saying we're going all in on a smaller winning window for a team like the Padres. And so, yeah, right now I do think that even if you just look at on paper who's healthy, the Padres do have a clear path to being the more competitive team. And we hope it plays out that way because there's just more players I think that we are excited about on the Padres. Their manager, Mike Schultz, seems to be just the kind of guy you really want to root for and see him rally that team the way that he has. It seems like even him with players like Manny Machado, who got so much flack
Hmm.
last year, he's never a player that I have particularly been a fan of because, yeah, I just think he comes off with that kind of machismo that like that toes the line and is usually past the line for me to like really appreciate. But he seems he seems to have matured, maybe found
Hmm.
some comfortability, maybe some guidance from Mike Schultz in his ability to be a leader for that team. And we saw him rally the guys in the dugout, have a meeting, little team meeting, little huddle last night that clearly put all those guys in the right mindset to just bust it wide open after that. And I
Oh
saw
yeah.
a tweet last night, Susie, that cracked me up because I thought this was just the perfect way to put it in perspective. Tom Fornelli tweets, he works for CBS Sports, and he tweets, I think it says a lot about the Padres and forgiveness that even after having Dodgers fans throw things at them from the bleachers, they continue hitting balls into the bleachers for Dodgers fans to throw at them. And I agree. I'm not always super into his like trolling act, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know why it's like hitting differently. I
'Cause
think
it's Fernando. Because
yeah, he's
for
just
well,
being himself. I think that's part of it. Like
yeah,
he's not even trying too hard or really thinking about it that much. He's just like doing his thing.
and for me, Fernando and the trolling, the numbers and his performance are backing it up, do you know what I'm saying?
Totally. Yep.
Because the multi-homer night, the fact that he's out there gyrating and just
Wiping his
being
tears away from the Dodger fan.
right? Yeah, and, like, the kiss to the
Mm,
I love it. I love
yeah,
it all, and it's theater, it's entertainment,
it is.
and ultimately, that's why, as a person who doesn't have a vested interest in either one of these teams, is watching the ball game. I had Astros fans that were solemnly swearing off baseball. They're like, "Nope, Astros are out, not watching any more baseball."
Yeah.
Turn on the game because they had seen the tweets and they're like, "Oh shit, it's getting good now."
Yeah,
Theater,
grab your
people,
popcorn.
right? And
Yeah.
that's what we wanted. Now, on the other side of that, Jack Flaherty, what are we doing? Why are you talking shit when granted you got Manny out? Okay, you struck Manny out. Congratulations, sir. They put 4 on you. You didn't get a
Yeah.
quality start. What's happening here, Jack Flaherty?
I'm not sure what about that at bat, or maybe it is something directly about Manny Machado that has struck a chord with him. Because Jack is a very openly emotional guy,
Right.
and I think we've seen him come a long way in keeping his emotions in check since
Mhm.
even back in, like, the 2022 season. I think he's come a long way with his mental game in keeping his emotions in check, and then also letting them out and using them when they serve him to keep him fired up. So I don't wanna say that we don't like to see that because again, it's theater, it's
Theater.
it's pure entertainment. We love it, we're here talking about it. Yeah, I'm all for it, but it was really interesting. Like, I wish we had some more context about what about that at bat really got him fired up.
Apparently, 30 had said that Manny had thrown a foul ball back into the dugout or something like that, and I was
Mm,
all, "Okay, alright," and I took it as trying to just get the ball out of the area. Like, I'm not imagining that Manny Machado was over here chucking a
yeah,
heater into the dugout trying to hit someone.
right.
Maybe that I don't know, maybe he was or whatever. It cracked me up, and Joe Kelly was left off of the ALDS roster or NLDS roster, excuse me. And so now I'm all, you don't have an asshole on your team. You know what I'm saying? You don't have that guy that's gonna talk the shit
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
it was Joe Kelly that he's gonna talk the
Oh,
shit and then
yeah.
not do anything else and run away, but he's gonna talk the shit. So now I'm all, Jack Flaherty, is that your role? Granted, I think maybe Jack Flaherty will actually throw hands, but you're a pitcher. You need your hands
Yeah,
a little bit more.
yeah, protect those
So
hands, Jay Flair.
I'm just wondering who on that Dodgers roster is going to be that dedicated jackass for you.
Jack Flaherty
Like it's
will do it. I've seen him chirp so many times from games he's not even playing in. So, it was really interesting though. I felt weird for the Dodgers players because yeah, you have all these like token good guys, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Tommy Edman out there who are
Mhm.
probably like, can our bitch ass fans settle the fuck down because this is not what we want to be associated with. This
Right?
is not the headline that we want to make in the postseason, right?
I feel
And
like if Shohei got on the mic and said something, immediately
they
he
should
would
yeah,
have calmed
have
down.
had Shohei make that announcement, and maybe that would've been more
But
effective.
really, who in that for lack of all personalities, I feel like it's Jack. It's not gonna be Max Muncy, it's not gonna be Gavin Lux. It's Freddie got hurt again, and Freddie, why are we trying to steal second, sir, in that first game? What are we doing?
Yeah, that
Freddie
was
Freeman, I get it. He's a gamer. He's a gamer. There's no two ways around it. It's a long series. Freddie Freeman, they need you for all of the series and for you to go from 1% not gonna be able to play, and then here you are stealing a base, and then in game 2, you're like, "JK, my ankle really hurts." "You think, Freddie?
yeah, whoops.
Why, sir?" And then Mookie Betts, I don't know what happened, Mookie. I don't 0 for 22, 0 for 21. It's 0 for
It's
a
over,
lot of
that's for sure.
0 for a lot of at bats now, and in one of our last episodes, I chirped Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge took a stray because he apparently disappears in the playoffs. I don't know at what point we put Mookie in that same category. I was gonna say cup, and that's not what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Here's what I wanna ask you, I guess this series is all tied up as we're recording here on Monday, October 7th at 1. They're off today, they're gonna play tomorrow in San Diego. Vibes above replacement wise, which one of these teams is going to win the series? Because we've got, okay, let's just lay a few things out there for the Dodgers. They've got Tommy Edman and the super utilities like Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, Miguel Vargas, right?
I
They've
love that
got
that's
Blake
where you started.
Griffin. Come on, give it up.
Of
With
course, it's gonna
Tommy,
be
he scored
yes,
the winning run
yes.
in the first game. He's contributing again. That it might his OPS might not show for it. The slugging percentage might not hold up and show for it, but he is a difference maker on both sides of the ball. And so are
For
those
sure.
other guys who are able their ability to just be plug and play is obviously something that's super effective for this team and could be for any team. We've got postseason Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is playing in the postseason for the first time in his career, and he is showing the fuck up. It's pretty
Mhm.
exciting to watch. I don't think anybody doubted it. We talked about Jack Flaherty. They've got the kind of a hometown hero, ace with a chip on his shoulder. They've got Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. Are they feeling the postseason vibes? I don't know, because they're not necessarily pumping the Dodgers full of offense and success right now. They also they had the best record in baseball, so they have home field advantage up through the World Series should they get there. But now we got to look at the Padres, right? Mike Schilt revenge tour. Mike Schilt was fired from the St. Louis Cardinals after multiple winning seasons, some of the best seasons that the Cardinals have had in recent memory. So I call it the Mike Schilt revenge tour. And then we've got Peter Seidler. We talked about this last week a little
Mhm.
bit. Passed away this year. He was just in his early 60s. He wanted nothing more. He's one of those owners that you just like dream of having because he was genuinely just passionate about the game and wanting to bring a World Series to San Diego.
Yep.
They're also the only team left in the postseason since the Brewers made an early exit that have never won a World Series. And I think there's a little edge to
There's a
that.
little there's a
It's a
little
good
juice there,
story.
yeah, mhm.
We talked about how they have the outfield of vibes, as I would like to refer to them, in Jackson, Merrill Madness, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Jurickson
Jurickson
Profar,
Profar.
Mr.
Mhm.
Very relevant these days. And then, Susie, did you see? Okay, Kyle Higashioka has he's one away from tying the postseason record of most home runs hit by a Padres player
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
postseason, and he played in 4 postseason games. So that's pretty
Yes.
incredible. Did you see that the Blink-182 provided him
Yes.
with the guitar that was used in All the Small Things video? So that's a big vibe thing I think they got going on their side too. We know that the Creed, "Can You Take Me High," was like you need a theme song. I think you really need a theme song for the playoffs, and now the Padres have one. So maybe a little biased, but I just laid it out right there. Who has the highest bar? I think we know.
I've been saying this from the very beginning, very beginning. Who I want to come out of the NL, Padres or Mets. Really and truly, the shirt says it all, right? I hope both teams lose. Not really in this instance, okay? Shout out Ram shirts for the I hope both teams lose. But I've been saying it from the very beginning. I want the Padres or the Mets to take the NL because they have the best vibes above replacement. Okay. We've got the outfield. We've got Kyle Higashioka that you just laid out, who, if you guys don't follow the Padres, is a catcher. Y'all hear me? He is a
And he's not
catcher.
even been a starting catcher a lot of his career.
Mm-mm. So they one of the players that came over from the Juan Soto trade from New York, and I know New York fans are looking at Kyle Higashioka now, and they're like, "Where was this guy?" Granted, they're all right with Austin Wells, but they're like, "Dude, we could have had Austin Wells and Kyle Higashioka. What are we doing?" The fact that they have got a complete rotation. Side note: Joe Musgrove. Very sorry that you went down with TJ.
Yeah, what a bummer.
Hopefully, you are okay.
But even with that, you're right. They still have stronger pitching
They've got
across the board
yep.
than the Dodgers.
Michael King, they got Yu Darvish, they have Dylan Cease. It's across the board. It is, and that bullpen, my goodness. But even in the infield, like you have got up and down the lineup a more well balanced,
Totally.
rounded team versus the Dodgers that are just there's some holes down in that
Mhm,
end of
for
the
sure.
lineup, right? Donovan Solano, where did you come from, Donovan Solano? Again, people who don't watch the Padres day in, day out are gonna be all, I don't who is Donovan Solano? Exactly, people. And Donovan Solano is driving in runs. David Peralta, 37-year-old David Peralta hit a home run in yesterday's game. 6 of them total. 6. 6 home runs were hit. And it is entertainment. It is pure chaos, and I love it. And I cannot wait until it ends up being Padres and Mets. And at that point, it's just chaos baseball, and I don't care who wins. It's gonna be the most electric. And on that side, though, I think it's gonna be like, if it does end up being Padres and Mets, it's going to be electric, but not in a bad way that Padres and Dodgers was.
Totally.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I feel like it's gonna be more like fun chirping versus Imma meet you in the fucking parking lot and Imma
Yeah.
kick your ass chirping.
So speaking
And
we have, like, the volatile, yeah, matchups
yeah,
going on right now with the
with the Mets and the
territories,
Phillies.
the areas of
Yeah,
the country.
yeah.
Okay, so since you mentioned the Mets, we gotta take a look at this other National League series, Phillies versus Mets. They are also split at 1. Could we ask first of all, could we just ask for more fantastic fucking baseball to be consuming in October? I don't think so. These games have been so thrilling and so
Yeah.
exciting. So that alone, I'm just like baseball fans are winning across the board here. But okay, but I know you are all into the Mets vibes. They've got a lot going on. We know they've got Grimace. I love seeing the guys like Pete Alonso has the purple Grimace cleats. Harrison Bader is rocking all the purple swag. OMG, OMG, I'm so into that.
Mhm.
I need to point out that the OMG remix with Pitbull is gonna drop on Friday, October 11th, which is set to be game 5 of the NLDS, Mets versus Phillies. So that's got me a little worried because you know I'm a big Candelita fan. We also
Mhm.
saw, Pete's rally pumpkin emerge in the Milwaukee series. Pete picked himself a pumpkin at a pumpkin patch in Wisconsin. Great place to go pumpkin picking. I did that last fall, Pete, and yeah, apparently that's I'm, like, actually afraid. So I live in South Jersey, about 10 miles from the Philly stadium, and I have pumpkins on my porch, and I'm, like, literally afraid that people are gonna just start, like, smashing the shit out of pumpkins because, like, we're not
Heaven
allowed to
forbid.
like
Yeah.
pumpkins right now
No,
because they
no.
represent vibes for the Mets. They also have Jesse Winker, which I think it goes negative against their vibes. I know we were talking last week about how you're like, we feel like we're seeing a different Jesse Winker than we are with the Nationals. But man, how did you feel about? Did you see his little show he put on? I guess that was in game 1. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like he walked off the World Series, and let it be known that Jesse Winker has given major shit to other teams
For
for
doing the same thing. Yep.
celebrations. And then he does that kind of shit every chance he gets. So I don't know. Do you think Jesse Winker, can we say that he goes negative on VAR for the Mets?
But like, it cracks me up though. Jesse Winker is that guy that if he's on your team, you're gonna love him. And if you're like that fan base, you're gonna love him because he's gonna rock with you, right?
Yeah.
So he's that asshole that if he's on your team, yes, absolutely 1000% all allowed. If he's not on your team, that's the guy you're gonna hate the most, right?
Yeah.
And for me personally, he's the Mets asshole. So bad to say, but he is, right? He's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be Francisco Lindor. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be Pete Alonso. It's not gonna be 4-year-old Mark Vientos.
Oh,
It's gonna
no.
be Jesse Winker. It's gonna be Jesse Winker. It can't be Candelita.
Man. Yeah. Not a chance.
Every
So,
club's gotta have one. Jesse Winker, congratulations. You won that prize for the Mets. And Mets fans are gonna tell you that is their boy. That is their boy, and they're gonna rock with Jesse Winker all day, every day, and it cracks me up. Because again, it's it's not gonna be Brandon Nimmo.
oh my gosh. But speaking of which, Tom made a great call
Yep.
last week's episode when we did our postseason preview that Brandon Nimmo was gonna be a difference maker for the Mets, and he certainly has been. He's been the guy to really get the rally going or
Yep.
be the one who makes the difference in numerous, I think at least 3 different moments for the Mets so far this postseason, and we've barely just begun. The Mets also have 44, which is a lucky number for me personally, Susie, 44 comeback wins, and
Mhm.
that's this season, postseason included. But now, okay, so we're sold on the Mets, vibes all around, lots of different directions there. But the Phillies are like one of the highest on vibes teams throughout the regular season. They have
Only
been
if
for
you're
the last
doing
few
well, though.
years.
Only if you're doing well. If you're not doing well, they're gonna fucking let you know, and they're gonna boo you literally right afterwards. And
Yeah,
I
I
can't.
do think we need to get that together as a Phillies fan base. I agree with you. I don't love that. I don't think it helps a whole lot. But okay,
I
we've got Bryce Harper in October, which is just like next level,
Mhm.
completely different animal, just the beast unleashed. He is going to show up and show out. We've got Phillies daycare, right? The 3 youngest players on the team that just like to wreak havoc and make sure those celebrations are happening in Bryson Stott, who had a huge RBI triple go ahead RBI triple yesterday on his birthday. Happy birthday, Bryson. Brandon Marsh and Alec Boehm bringing the fun. They've got the bell, Susie. I think this is a vibe thing. The bell, you've seen it. You were there with me for a
Mhm.
Phillies win
Yes.
at Citizens Bank Park. They got the sweet light up bell and it rings back and forth. And oh, did you see that's not all teams are doing this. There's actually only a small handful of teams who are in the postseason that have special items on their menu at the ballpark for the postseason. The Phillies are one of them. They have a City Connect milkshake. I'm really sad that we don't get to take our expert milkshake taste testing skills to a Phillies postseason game because they have, yeah, City Connect milkshake. It's like a Cookie Monster blue milkshake with an entire donut and a cake pop on the top of it, along with some other really spectacular looking items like a dessert pizza, a giant turkey leg. I'm like, come on, that is some postseason food right
That is
there. That's what we
hysterical.
need. Plus, they have the best mascot in all of baseball. They have the Philly Fanatics. I don't know. You think the Mets have
Why is
higher
it
vibes
blue?
above replacement here?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Thanks.
It's for the Oh, okay, that's right, because every time I see them, I think they're the Seattle Mariners. I got it, okay.
Yes. Yes, they're a tribute to the
Alright,
Mariners.
gotcha, alright, that's fine. No, you will never sway me over to the Phillies having a higher VAR than than anybody else at this point in time, because you're booing your own players. Stop fucking doing that shit. That's what
I
the other team is
I agree
for.
with
That is
you.
what the other
I
team is
think
for.
yeah, I
And
don't love
so,
that. It
no,
again, it kinda reminds me of Yankees fans. Don't love it. But
I
we'll see
you're
because
right, like, I love the
I'm gonna go with
bell.
the Phillies here. I
The
think the
bell is
Phillies
great.
can overcome the
Mhm.
Mets are, like, very high on vibes right now, but, like, it's like a I don't know, they're at the peak of I feel like they're at the peak of the roller coaster right now, and they're ready to come straight down, where I feel like the Phillies, just the consistency of the vibes is gonna see them through, especially after last
I don't
night's
know.
win.
I don't know, but they lost the Zack Wheeler start. Okay,
So they're
let's
certainly
just put it in
concerned.
perspective.
Yeah.
They lost the Zack Wheeler start. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not because of Zack Wheeler. Zack Wheeler went out
No.
and fucking shoved. We have the Big Dick Pitching Award on on the Astros version of Bourbon and Baseball. We're gonna bring it over
Mhm.
here because Zack Wheeler, congratulations. That is what you did on that game one. 7 innings, 9 Ks. Granted, that was a little bit umpire helped, but regardless, you shoved. You shoved 9 Ks, 1 hit, no earned runs. It's not your fault that your bullpen went out and just shit itself. That's not on you. You went out and you did your part.
Yeah, and you know
The
he's gonna do his
but
part at this point.
Oh yeah.
So I wanna give a shout out to Jay Hay from Baseball is Dead. He put out that Zack Wheeler is the first pitcher in history with multiple career postseason starts of 7+ innings pitched, 1 or fewer hits, and 0 runs allowed. That is Zack fucking Wheeler. That's what you're gonna
Mhm.
get. So yeah, the fact that the team was not able to make the most of that kind of start is concerning in the moment, but really hoping the offense got going yesterday. And the good thing is that you're gonna get that out of Zack Wheeler again when you need it.
Yes, but see, okay, when you see that it's Zack Wheeler going up against TBA for the Mets, you're like, "Okay, benefit the
Yeah.
Phillies because obviously, right?" And so the fact that the Mets took that game gotta be a good confidence boost for them because they were not out of yesterday's game with a Kodai Senga. What is that? Kodai Senga. Then it went to Reed Garrett and Tyler McGill. They matched. They matched pretty well. And
Mhm.
then yesterday with like the bullpen coming in and like doing the things, it was back and forth, and they were in it to the last very bit. So the fact that it wasn't a blowout. It wasn't the Padres 10-2 score of over the Dodgers. They were in that game, and it was never a, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, the Mets have it. Oh my god, the Phillies have it." It never felt that way, for me at
Yeah.
least. And I again,
No, I
I'm not
totally
even
agree.
not a either one of these, like, neither one of these are my team. And can I just say that it is refreshing to be watching postseason baseball and not have it be anxiety ridden?
It
And
is,
that
it's nice, right?
that
It's
sucks
enjoyable
because
on
obviously
another level. Yeah.
I I want it to be my team out there, but watching this and not having my stress level at a 40,000 is fabulous, and I love that. I don't know, it goes back to Queens, goes back to San Diego. I don't know how it's going to end. How do you think it's gonna end for these 2 games? And then we're gonna talk about the AL.
Yeah, jump in the comments and let us know what you think. I'm going Padres in 5 and Phillies in 5 for the National League.
Okay. Alright, I think Mets take care of them. I don't know if it's gonna go baback to Philly.
Oh,
I don't know
man.
if it goes back in Philly. That's I'm gonna go Mets in 4. Is that wait, because
Yeah.
that's 3,
Yep.
right?
That's possible if they
Okay.
win the next 2 games
Yeah.
in Queens.
So,
Yep.
I think it's Mets in 4, and I think it's Padres in 5.
'Kay.
So, those are my predictions for the NL. Now let's talk about the AL. The Guardians and Detroit Tigers. Guardian said, "What rust? We don't
Mhm.
care. We give no fucks that we had a 5-day layoff, and look at what we can do."
They had a whole week
Now they're
because remember
Colton.
their last game was canceled of the regular season, so they didn't play, their last game was Saturday, they didn't play again
Mhm.
until the next Saturday. A whole freaking
Yeah.
week.
Look, Detroit, it's a great story. I love it. I do.
Yeah.
The fact that you rode the best starting pitcher in the AL the last 3 months and a Kiter Montero as your 2 and then a bullpen of mishmash randos. I love the story. I
Pitching
love the
chaos.
story. Yes. But guess what? The Guardians have been doing it as well all season long, and the Guardians have been doing it just a little bit better. Legitimately.
Just a little, honestly, a lot better. Yeah, they have the thing that the Tigers don't have, and one, that's the consistency to
Mhm.
show up when it gets tough and things are not just perfectly clicking for them. They can still show up and hold their own, and more experienced players. They're clearly just a more complete team to be competitive deep into October.
Yes. And we say the Guardians have the best bullpen. I'm not kidding. That's not that the numbers back it up, and the numbers back it up over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Over the last, I want to say 3 months, it had been the Guardians and the Tigers.
Mhm.
Tigers bullpen had been right up there as well. But over 162 consistently, it's been the Guardians bullpen, and it's been the Guardians bullpen that have been going 2-3 innings consistently.
Right.
Whereas the Tigers, it's been a little bit more hit and miss and 2 and a third or 1 and a third, and we're gonna maneuver this way. And I love it, Tigers. I do. The whole AJ Hinch redemption arc, that's
Mhm, mhm.
great. Side
Love it.
note, Tigers fans, I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Why I don't understand why you're coming at Astros fans, calling us cheaters when AJ Hinch is literally your manager. Like, you're smarter than that. Come on now, people. Stop doing that. Don't do that. It's dumb. You're dumb. So I love it. I love the story. Tarek Skubal has been amazing.
Yeah.
It's not your year, though. It's not your year.
Yeah,
It's not.
I think it's awesome for baseball and for for
Yeah.
Tigers fans that we get to see Tarek Skubal pitch in the postseason. I'm super
Mhm.
excited to
Yep.
see him go for the Guardians today, and maybe that's how maybe they win a game in the series, and that's how they stay in it, put up a good fight. I loved Okay, my favorite thing so far about the Tigers kind of postseason Cinderella story here is the video after I know this probably it didn't hit the same way for you, but after they beat the Astros, where AJ Hinch is giving his little speech before they pop the bottles. And he said, I don't know who it was, but somebody let the Tigers get hot. And I just love that so hard. That's like exponential vibes right there. I think that's a moment that's so cool that it was captured and that Tigers fans and that team should hold on to for a long time, because what they have been able to do with what they have right now
Oh, ab
is an incredible story in itself. But I agree with you that this seems a little bit more black and white than the other 3 series that are going on, just in terms of one team that is so clearly heads above the rest. And
Mhm.
I think in any series, but especially in a 5 or a 7-game series, it's the writing is a little
Yeah.
more on the wall that we should see the Guardians come out here on top.
Did you know
But,
that all 4 starters today are left-handed?
oh,
All
interesting.
lefties today. Skubal versus Boyd for Tigers and Guardians, and
Mhm.
then Reagans versus Rodon for the Royals versus the
Oh,
Yankees.
yeah.
Every
Ooh,
all the lefties.
that's gonna
Oh,
be so
yeah.
good.
I can't wait to talk about this Yankee series, but side note, other thing that I love about the Guardians, Jhonkensy Noel, Big Christmas.
Oh, Christmas.
The
Yeah.
fact that his dad got to see him, I loved that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That made me
So
so happy. And side note, I don't know, Jhonkensy Noel, your name is Big Christmas, literally, because you are a mountain of a I say a boy because you are literally, like, 4. His dad is like a normal sized human.
yeah.
I guess I expected his dad to be bigger or
I
something.
mean, he was sitting. We couldn't really tell. Maybe he is, like, super tall, but yeah, he appeared to be like a normal-sized human.
Yeah, but the fact that a playoff postseason game was the first time that his dad got to see him
Yeah.
play baseball in the United States, fucking love that.
Yeah.
Love all of that. And Lane Thomas and David Fry, people are like, "Who? David Fry? Who's David Fry?" Exactly. If you're not a
Mhm.
Guardians fan, you're not gonna know who David Fry is. Lane Thomas, I'm so glad that you finally got out of your funk. Came over from the Nationals at the trade deadline, and they're, like, poking him with a stick. "Hey, Lane, you gonna do something?"
I do think the Guardians are one of those teams that you can look at, and we're gonna talk about the Royals next. The Guardians and the Royals are 2 teams that got objectively better at the deadline, and the moves that they made at the deadline could be the thing that makes the difference for them. So, yeah, super awesome to see Lane Thomas being a difference maker already for the Guardians in the postseason. And then Alex Cobb sounds like he's going to be available. He's on the roster. So we'll certainly see him. And then they have Emmanuel Clase. They have the best closer in baseball. So I think that's something that unfortunately we're not going to see Ryan Helsley this postseason, but it's pretty cool that we have that level of a closer that's highlighted in the postseason. And I hope that
Absolutely.
the Guardians keep going just because I want to see more of him in those big moments.
1000%. And the fact that he's on a very team-friendly deal makes me sad, but also happy at the same time. I wanna say he's making $1,000,000 this season. For
I
another
will
couple seasons,
check it out.
actually,
But
too.
yeah,
But
he is not one of those he's not gotten his big
he's
bag yet, that's for sure.
no, no. And so the fact that he's young too. He saves leader overall of and it just I love all of the Guardians stuff. The fact that it's Cleveland, and we've said it before, if it ends up being a Cleveland, Kansas City ALCS, Rob Manfred and MLB is just going to punch so much air, just so much air. And the fact that the storyline now, I cannot believe that this was actually the storyline. If I was a fan, like a deep-seated, rooted fan of the Royals or the Guardians or the Tigers, I would be so fucking offended. The fact that now that the Astros are not in it, the Yankees should just walk away with the AL.
Yeah.
I was like,
Mm-mm.
"What are we doing here, people? It's what are you kidding me right now?" I understand they don't have the name recognition, whatever, but it's the Guardians, hello. We've been talking about the Guardians all fucking season long.
Mhm.
The Royals that have Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino magically healed his thumb and is now back in the lineup and still got Salvi. You got Tarek Skubal over here for the Tigers. How is this a storyline? You're just literally dismissing everybody in the AL and just handing it to the Yankees? What's happening? I was so
Yeah,
mad when I saw that story.
I
Was that
know.
a Ken Rosenthal story?
I'm not sure. It's been a very clear storyline in the national media, I think, across the board that it's just the narrative that is being written that because 75% of the teams in the American League that are left are from the National League Central, that clearly, yeah, they're just, or I'm sorry, from the American League Central. That I'm from the Midwest. I take some serious offense to that as well. And I agree that the East Coast, I moved here. I love being here. I'm obsessed with New York City, but no, by no means can you write these teams off. And in fact, we're going to talk about vibes above replacement again. The Yankees, in my book, and I know maybe again, maybe we're a little biased. Everybody's going to talk about it differently, but I think they have the lowest VAR of these four American League teams. Like, and it's not
Absolutely.
close.
Jazz is trying. Jazz is really trying.
Yeah.
He's really trying out there. But no, it's the Yankees, and that's if you took the Yankees off of it, if you took the name Yankees off of it and you just listed players,
Hmm.
not even with their names, with just their stats, you would not pick the Yankees
Right.
over these other teams. You
Yep.
wouldn't. There's no way. The fact that the Royals chased Garrett Cole out in what, 5 and a third innings?
Hmm.
The Royals were in that first game. Truth be told, come on now, Jazz was out. Like, let's be so for real right now. Jazz Chisholm was out. All right. If Jazz
Yes.
Chisholm was
Oh,
out,
definitely.
that whole
Yeah. Yeah.
the Royals are taking that game 1. The
Yeah.
Royals are taking that game 1. And there's if you say otherwise, you're just I get it. You're a Yankee fan, whatever. But be so for real right now. Be so for real. They were so out. I was like, there's no way. There's no way that they're gonna Jazz Chisholm was out.
Yeah. And I think
I'm
most
sorry,
fans
what?
like
Nicolas
you.
Stans, he's safe? What?
Why do we even have replay then? Unfortunately, there's been a lot. We should mention that there's been a lot just in terms of inconsistent strike zone, but also,
Oh my
yeah,
god.
3 reviewed plays that have been extremely close. The reason that replay exists, but at least 2 of those 3 were like, again, objectively, I think fans across the board agree.
Everyone. The broadcasters on the broadcast that even, like, that have no say in it, they're all, "No, that was out. That is the wrong call. What is
Yeah,
happening?" This is the postseason where you're definitely supposed to get it right. This is the
right, where it
postseason where
matters
the
most.
umpires are supposed to be the best,
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's
I'm
just
privileged,
been
in the postseason, and we also saw Freddie Freeman rip his pants, so, the high quality uniforms are really on display here as well. Major League Baseball showing up and showing out on the big stage.
it's come on now. You guys gotta be better. You gotta be better than this, and as a salty fan, I love that old man Yuli Gurriel, 42-year-old man
Yeah,
Yuli Gurriel, working 2 walks against Garrett Cole,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
then getting the hit that knocked him out of the game. Just it I loved it. That was so much more sweeter. So much more sweet. There we go. Words are hard. It was nostalgia at its best, and I fucking loved it.
And that's something that I think, the Kansas City Royals have that maybe they're not getting enough credit for is that perfect balance of the youthful excitement and
Mhm.
superstars like Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvi Perez, and then those veterans who you just cannot count out and are gonna be
Tommy Pham!
guys. I mean, Tommy Pham, yeah, driving in runs. The Lucas Erceg is just an awesome story. So they've
Oh
got,
my gosh,
really
yes.
they really padded their bullpen to make sure that they were solid going into this. And they are similar to those Texas Rangers and the Diamondbacks last year as well, whereas they had 106 losses last season. So they're that zero to hero storyline that we love to see as well. I think they've just got a lot going for them, along with the fact that I know we've mentioned it a billion times before, but it must be said that Will Smith is in their bullpen, and he has 3 World Series rings with 3 different
Is
teams in
he
the past 3 years.
did he make the roster?
Oh, is
The
he even
ALCS?
on the roster? They better have put him on the roster. What are they thinking? He clearly either way, I guess he's gonna get the ring, right? Maybe him
Right,
being on
yeah.
the roster is not the important part, but, yeah, I'm not.
This is the important part. Cole Reagans goes for them tonight.
Mhm.
Cole Reagans, he is a nasty lefty, and all season long, the Yankees have had problems hitting lefties. So, all I'm saying is this the fact that the Yankees, quote, unquote, "won game 1" with Garrett Cole getting knocked out so early, Bobby Witt and Vinny not being in that scoring story whatsoever, because 'cause I'm pretty sure they went, like, 1 for 8 or maybe 0 for 8 for both of those. So the fact that they scored they literally only won by, what, 2 runs? 1 run? I don't remember. It was close, though, that first game, and
Yeah, 6 to 5
they were
Yankees
s
first
6
game.
to 5. They were in it. So the fact that it was not a lefty pitcher, first off, and that their 2, quote, unquote, "guys that are supposed to drive in runs" aren't the ones driving in runs, I think the Royals are gonna be a lot tougher and a lot sneakier than a lot of people are giving them credit for, and if the Royals knock the Yankees out, the Yankees will never live it down. It is much
Yeah.
more imperative for the Yankees to win this series than it is for the
Totally, yes.
Royals.
And I think that pressure in itself presents an interesting challenge for them. I think that is actually an advantage that the Royals have. And similarly to them going up against the Orioles, did you see the social media admins like full on trolling each other? Really, the Royals just trolling the Orioles, where there was the
Oh,
picture
yes.
of, yeah,
The
the throne
yes.
and the Orioles admin posting that before the game, and then it
Yep.
being overtaken with the bird feathers, just,
And then Bobby Witt
the rightful
sitting
spot.
there
Mhm,
and
mhm.
saying, "You come for the crown, you best not miss." I was all, "Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Shots fired, Royals. Shots fired. A plus job." We as a fan base, again, that's out of it. I
that's
love
kind of what we're
all of
here
it.
for. Mhm, mhm.
Give me all of it. So, out of the AL, what are we thinking?
Okay, so AL, I do wanna mention that I think Luke Weaver is, like, the best vibes guy, is, like, the
Yes.
vibes that the Yankees do have, so I gotta give him that. They also have the highest active player payroll, which I can't decide. Obviously, they wouldn't have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto if that were not the case. That is, like, why they have
Mhm.
in Big G, but I almost think that is, like we were just talking about, almost a detriment to them because the heaviness of that expectation. We've seen players who get huge contracts and just individually, like the pressure that they put on themselves and the way that it impedes their ability to show up. I think that's a pressure that the Kansas City Royals are living without for the most part, and I think that kinda gives them a bit of an advantage in a weird way, almost that, like, nothing to lose mentality a little bit. So, yeah, I also just think the Royals, like, objectively have better pitching than the Yankees
Mhm.
overall, and yeah, I'm going Royals in 5, and I'm going Guardians in 4 for all the reasons that we talked about. I think the Guardians are. Again, that's the most black and white, clear cut, this team is better
Yeah.
than this team matchup that we have going on right now. Yeah, Guardians get it done in 4. How about you?
I think I'm with you. I think Guardians in 4. I think I'll be with you on with Royals in 5. And Guardians and if it does end up a Guardians Royals ALCS, I will be there. I will be there with bells on.
Absolutely. Oh my
I will
gosh.
be there
Okay,
with
so
bells on.
this is a good opportunity to mention that I've been looking at prices for tickets just because 'cause I'm, like, fascinated by the whole thing, and
Right.
when the Mets and the Brewers were playing, I could have bought you could buy a ticket in Milwaukee and fly round trip from New York to Milwaukee for the same price as you could have bought a ticket to see the Phillies, just the Phillies game, like, of the
Of course.
NLDS. Same thing with the Guardians. So you can I think there was like $70 tickets for ALCS, and I know it's in the middle of the day, whatever, but it was a weekend. So
Mhm.
yeah, you could buy probably close to you could get a $70-ish ticket, maybe a $200-ish round trip flight from the East Coast for the same price that yeah, you're not getting a standing room only ticket at Citi Field
Right.
or at Citizens Bank Park for less than 250 for one of these
Yeah.
games. So go if you are I know the cost of living in general is higher on the East Coast and stuff, but man, I Guardians fans are pretty good about showing up and showing out too. So I think and Royals fans too. And
I think
so
Royals
in a
fans
way,
would too,
I
yeah.
think it's cool that it's more accessible to more people
Yeah.
in not just because like you watch any game pretty much played at Yankee Stadium, but especially a playoff game, it does bug me that you're like, wow, it'd be really cool to be there if I could spare $1,000 lying
Yeah.
around. So again, I know at least we know that the playoff shares, like, the players are getting a lot of this money too, which is
Mhm.
great, but, yeah, I think it's cool that it's more the common man's game if we're playing
Yeah.
on Midwest territory.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we have Guardians Royals, and then we are split between
Mhm.
Padres, Mets, and Phillies. Who did we say who actually comes out of the NL?
I think it's the Phillies.
You think it's the Phillies that are gonna take it
Yeah,
all the way?
and if it
Okay.
wasn't the Phillies,
Who do you think they face?
I think Phillies Padres are going to go to a full 7 game
Be it?
series. I
Okay.
really hope the Phillies pull through, and yeah, I think I picked my bracket was Phillies Guardians World Series, but in terms of who I'd rather see, I honestly think I'd rather see the Royals because I'm a huge Salvador Perez
I wanna
fan,
see
and I wanna
I
see
would
Tommy
love to see
Pham in
Bobby.
the fucking World
Oh,
Series, but
yes!
and Bobby Witt,
Yes,
yeah, come on, the fact that guy is not gonna win MVP this season, let's get him a World Series MVP instead.
absolutely. So, I'm excited for these games
Yeah.
today. I'm excited for the games tomorrow. I can't wait. Apparently, I saw a stat for Aaron Nola. Apparently, it'll be 9 days since Aaron Nola
Ooh,
last pitched, and
yeah.
apparently after 6 days of not pitching, his ERA doubles.
Oh, goodness. Oof.
So
I did hear Philly
I
Sports Radio, yeah, getting into the weeds with that today. Let me ask you about this too, because the Philly Sports Radio has been really on top of the national broadcast. I don't know if you tuned in to the national broadcast of Adam Amin, Adam Wainwright, and AJ Przinsky, but they really disliked, particularly AJ Przinsky on the broadcast. And they were like, Waino's okay. But they really thought that like Phillies fans really did not like them, which I was surprised by
that is hysterical.
because then, of course and
That's
it's funny because online you get both. You get the Mets fans saying that
right.
they're biased towards the Phillies, and then the Phillies fans saying they're biased towards the Mets. But yeah, I was surprised that there was like
Well,
such vitriol around that.
the broadcast for me was whatever, but me not even saying anything, Mike listening in was like, "Is this a Phillies broadcast?" And I was like, "No, these are the national guys." And he goes, "Is it?" And I go, "Yeah." And the excitement that I guess it was, Adam Amin calling the home runs, like, he got up for it a
Yeah,
little bit, but it was nothing like when the Phillies did stuff, even when it was, like, a long out, I was all, "Is that just me? Am I imagining it?" But I really thought granted, when the Mets did things, he would announce it with some vigor and some excitement, and if you just heard just that call for whatever, you'd be like, "Oh, yeah, that's great." But then comparatively, when the Phillies would do things, I was all, "Damn, he put a little extra into that." And for me, I was all, "Alright." It was whatever for me. I thought that there was a little bit more Philly excitement
yeah.
because they
No,
talked
I would
about
agree.
each of I think they talked about each of the teams, maybe not equally, because I heard storylines from both, and I just kept hearing Brzezinski say, "The Mets just really need to hit a home run." In that first game where it was just they just all strung together hits, and
Yeah,
then the second game,
and
they're like
clearly
I
they
was like,
don't.
"Yeah, I feel like maybe they heard you this time," and was like, "Okay, we'll just hit dinner." But it just cracked me up. I was all, "Alright, whatever." But I don't know, I was mildly surprised for that one. And then I was really surprised that Joe Davis was calling the Dodgers Padres games when
Mm,
Joe Davis is the Dodgers announcer.
mhm.
And I don't know if that's gonna end up good or not because just as a broadcaster, you gotta feel a little bit, more something when it's your home
Yeah,
team and you've been broadcasting it the entire time. And I'll give him credit. I'll give him credit. The calls seemed pretty well. Excitement level similarities, but just the overall broadcast in and of itself leaned a little bit more Dodgers, but I was like, that's fine." But I really wanted the calls that were going to be electric to actually be electric,
yeah,
especially because you hear Don Orsillo call the Padres games, and I'm like, "I need Don Orsillo level, like,
yeah.
calls here." So, I was a little shocked, but overall, it was fine, but I saw that was it Wayno that put it out? Maybe it was Wayno that, like, retweeted it or
Adam
something and
Amin
was
did,
all
and then yeah, and
okay.
then
So then it was
retweeted
Wayno
it.
that was like, "I don't know, if maybe all of it if everybody is mad at us,
Yeah.
maybe, just
This
maybe,
is
we
what
were
bias
unbiased."
yeah, this
I'm
is what
just saying.
unbiased looks like. Yeah, and that's the thing is I ultimately, nobody wants them to be unbiased. They want to
Right.
hear one or the other, and because that's what
Yeah.
we're used to hearing with our regional broadcast all season long, so we're conditioned. If anything, it should give perspective that, like, everybody hears what they wanna hear from
Yeah.
everything. So, it's just
Yeah.
like a good gut check, I think, in general. And I would say, if anything, what I hear is their kind of affinity towards certain players more and I certainly think that Wayno and Przinsky probably both like certain players. I think they're both big JT Realmuto fans.
Yeah.
And AJ Przinsky was talking about Castellanos being the most important guy in that lineup who was going to make or break this game and maybe even the series the entire freaking night. And then the fact that he basically called it that is he was very much
Mhm.
the difference maker. So yeah, I agree. If anything, I was like, what did you like? If there's something objective you didn't like about the information or the way that they
Right.
were analyzing things, let's talk about that. But in terms of biases, I think they're doing as well as they could do from people who are listening in and who are not who are unbiased as
Well,
much
and
as
see,
they can be as
that's
well.
what I never understood. If you're gonna have 3 of them up there, why do you not have a national guy and then, I don't know, the color guy from each team or the play-by-play guy from
Yeah.
each team? And that way, you have one from the other, and then a semi-neutral guy. And it boggles my mind that you get your guys or gals or whatever all season long, and
Mhm.
now all of a sudden you have to hear the generic storylines
Yeah.
from the national people just because they're the national people. Why? Don't do that.
Yeah, and I know it's because they're wanting to, again, cater to baseball fans as a whole, but the fact of the matter is you're still very much yeah, you have to cater
But see,
to the fan
I
bases that are watching. They did those broadcasts too on I think it was on Peacock that they did last season.
oh, yeah.
Had, yes,
Mhm,
a national play-by-play, like a neutral kind
mhm.
of play-by-play, and then they had a color analyst from one of each teams. I think that's a great idea.
And it's just I don't wanna hear the generic stories from the guys that I've already heard, like the
Right,
national ones. I
right.
want those little nuggets of things that
Mhm.
only the color guy or the play-by-play guy that has been covering them all season is gonna know. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's things like that that I personally, as a baseball fan, would rather hear than the national storyline of whatever. And again, I'll watch Padres games just on its own and listening to Don Orsillo tell the little stories of Jurickson Profar and like Donovan Solano and Tyler Wade coming in and being that guy and just little things like that. You're all I this is the kind of stuff that I want to hear versus the generic crap that is listed on the scouting report or whatever.
Yeah,
And it
they've
just
gotta, like, recap for
mhm,
people who haven't tuned in. I don't think it's that relevant either, like, I get it that you're trying to find that sweet spot of not insulting the fans of things they may have
right.
already heard or be up to date with, but then needing to make sure you cover it. But I think there's a way to do that and still yeah, it's I don't need to
Well,
hear for the 150th time about how Otani had a historic 59, 54, whatever season that he
yeah.
had, like, we know about that. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of it because that's the part where you capture people's hearts and you really get
Mhm.
their emotions
Yeah.
into the game as well, and
Yeah.
especially for fans who are outside of the fan bases that are playing, I think that's how you get them to stick around for the long haul.
Yeah. Can you tell me about when Kike Hernandez figured out that he needed glasses, and that's why he hadn't been hitting as well, and now he got glasses, and now he's been hitting better? Granted, not that much better, but it has been better. That is a story that I would be interested in hearing,
Well,
and
and they
it's
were
j
just the national broadcast, this is another Dodgers one, but they were like as stumped as anyone when Tommy Edman was hitting from the right side of the plate. Tommy Edman switch hitter. He was hitting from the right side of the plate against a right-handed pitcher. And you would have thought they were like so confused. Everybody on Twitter is asking about it because they're like, the broadcast doesn't seem to know that Tommy Edman has been doing that since 2021. Come on, get on it. If I know about it, I know I'm a Cardinals fan, but again, these are the things that yeah, the more localized or guys who just have the ability to be more immersed in a specific team are going to be able to provide.
Yeah. And see, and again, we have the technology now. If you don't want to listen to the national broadcast, guess what? There is another alternate broadcast. We have that technology. Apple TV doesn't. I don't understand why we can't do it. I do
Yeah.
not understand why I cannot, because if you have the MLB TV radio package or whatever, I can
Mhm.
mute my TV and I can listen to the radio, but it's not synced up.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
synced up. And that kind of annoys me. Why can you not do this on national broadcast? Why can I not change it to where I can just listen to the radio broadcast of my home team or whatever team I want to listen to? You know what I'm saying? That it's just silly. And that's just, I don't know. That feels very old man yells at clouds of me, but I feel like
But
that's
we're
not
not
right
old
for
men. We're here, Rob. We're here to help you, Rob Manfred. If you need us on your fan committee to give you better ideas what the people want to hear, we're here. Basically, I think this is our interview package for to be special assistants to Rob Manfred.
I'll take it. I'll take it. We should probably clip this and send it to him. If other people want to clip this and send it to him as well, by all means.
We're
Also,
here for you.
why the fuck am I paying $1 bajillion every season to watch all of the MLB
Yeah.
games, but then have to figure out how to watch the postseason games on 43 different networks?
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
I should not have to look up where the NL and the AL are playing. They're playing on 2 separate networks? Why? Why
Right,
is
and
that?
then see all of this post you're, like, watching the pregame and the postgame coverage on a different channel than you're watching the game. Oh gosh. Yeah, we really need
What
to
are we
figure
doing?
that out. There is a better way to do this.
Exactly. If I'm paying MLB in its entirety to watch 162 of whatever team, of all of the teams, then however much money that you are paying, I don't know, Fox and TBS or whatever, you take that out and say, "Okay, these people, they get to watch the championship games." If you don't, by all means, then let those people figure it out. It's so it's probably the most aggravating part about being a baseball fan and, like, wanting to
Oh,
watch
totally.
baseball.
Yeah, the accessibility of it is and it does seem I know other sports have their challenges too, but baseball just by far I know it's because there's so many games and the regional networks are unique in itself, but it's weird because it's not like a problem that just creeped up. Like the writing has been on the
Right.
wall for a while. So the fact that it's just taking this long to figure it out is at this point very frustrating and a bad look for growing and keeping the game alive and well.
And then the game versus the Phillies and Brewers, the game 3?
Phillies and or sorry, Mets and
Oh,
Brewers?
excuse me, Mets and Brewers, yes, Mets and Brewers, game
Yeah,
3. Did you see the numbers that did? Since it was, like, the
yeah,
only baseball game on?
it was the only one on.
Apparently, it had jumped, like, what, 17% or something, and it was the highest rated. I'm all, "This should go to show you that if there
Yeah.
is baseball on, people will watch. What are we doing?" And it's like, don't get it wrong, people, alright? I love the Mets, I stand the Brewers, but it's not like it's Dodgers, Yankees.
It
It's
doesn't have to be, and I think that's the other thing that Major League Baseball needs to get the fuck on board with because
yes.
I'm sorry, I know that they desperately want to see a Dodgers-Yankees World Series, but
Mhm,
I know that there are so many Yankees fans and there are so many Dodgers fans and the percentage and the country and whatever, but there are so many baseball fans that are gonna be so hype and so into any of these matchups at this point
mhm,
that, yeah, they all need to be highlighted exactly the same because somebody like Paul Skeens should show you that the team matters far less than the personalities and them being
mhm,
highlighted more and the skill level of these specific players. And the Dodgers and the Yankees are not the only teams that have those players that people care about and are tuning in to watch. Every single one of these teams has multiple of those players. And yeah, the media needs to do a better job of, and Major League Baseball needs to do a better job of highlighting all of them and
yes.
not just Otani and
Not
Judge.
just Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, yeah. If you were not a baseball fan and you just went to MLB's social media, you would think that Shohei Ohtani is the only baseball player alive. Just him, nobody else. I'm all, "Guys, there are so many players that you can highlight. What are we doing here?" Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, so if you dear listeners, are agreeing with any of the things that we say, disagreeing with any of the things we say, put it in the comments, please. I would love to open up a dialogue with you guys. I know Kelsey would love to interact, but come for our baseball takes, not because you disagree with the way that I drink bourbon. Okay, just don't do that. Don't do that. That just makes you look like a
Or
dumbass.
yes, I am basic AF. If you haven't noticed, I'm enjoying a pumpkin pancake latte, and I am
Oh
not
my.
sorry about it, so you can come for me for that
All
too,
right.
but
And keep it within the lines, guys. This is the interwebs we're talking about. This is a baseball podcast. It's not that fucking serious. So if you disagree with any of the things that we say, don't do a little googly goog on the interwebs and, I don't know, find out where we work and take the conversation offline to HR. Don't do that. Don't do that.
that's
Again,
a
if it was
little
like that
screwed up.
serious, yeah, if it was like that serious, if there were threats being made or if I was being super overly like racist or whatever,
No, we're not here
sure,
for any
okay.
of that.
All right. But the fact that you disagreed with apparently my reaction to bourbon and you decided to make it ridiculous, I stop it. Just stop it. It is not that serious. This is the interwebs. Again, interwebs, not real life people. All right. It's a baseball podcast. Again, not that
Yeah,
fucking
you know what?
serious.
Let me tell you what the internet is for. This is what the internet should be for. There is I need to find it and maybe you can throw it in the show notes or something, but there is an account of a Tigers fan who has a cat and she dresses her cat up. It has a Tigers hoodie, it has Tigers hat, and he gets her this cat gets treats when the Tigers do good things. This is what the internet is for. This is the kind of
Yeah.
content that we're here for, that we clearly
Yes,
want to
absolutely.
support. And if you're not interested in engaging with that kind of content, that level of content, and just pure fun, but also some good baseball takes, then it's okay just to move on. It's okay to keep
Right.
scrolling. But that's what we're
It
here for.
like seriously, the internet is free, people. All right. We're not charging you anything. And if you don't like it, there you can just scroll. You can just
Not everything
scroll.
for you,
That
actually. And
that
if
is an
that
option.
really crushed your spirit, I can't help you.
I just it's so silly. It's the silliest thing that, and normally we have really good interactions on the
We do.
interwebs.
Yeah, good vibes
Our
is good vibes. I really
and
believe
I
that.
have been lucky enough to meet people, fans that listen to the show, people that interact with us that have not been creepy, that have been genuine baseball fans and loved talking ball. And Kelsey and I will do that all day, every day. But I don't know if there was like some sort of, I don't know, like Mercury in retrograde or I don't know what happened. But a couple of days ago, all of the crazy came out. All of the crazy. And I'm all, uh, what is going on? Normally, again, my internet world, very quiet. Not
Yeah.
that day. Not that day.
Mm-mm.
So, guys, you want to talk ball? We can talk ball all day, every day. Anything besides that, hard pass. All right. So, with that said, Kelsey, tell the people where they can find you on the interwebs to talk ball.
Yeah, yeah. If you wanna talk baseball and pumpkin spice lattes, I'm here for it at K
Or
Bird.
show us your very cute cats that you dress up.
Yeah,
We
all
love
the animal content, absolutely
Mhm.
here for that. Broadway content, that kind of stuff, also
Yes.
here for that. Generally, good vibes. At Kbird Tweets, that's BURD Tweets, uh, on the Twitter, and my weekly podcast, Peace, Love, and Baseball, recording my 100th episode tonight, so that'll be out tomorrow. And yeah, I'm here for all the postseason interaction. We are in a weird spot where, since our fan bases are not as engaged as Cardinals fans and Astros fans, a lot of the fans have dropped off on my timeline. So if you are a fan of one of these teams that's still in it, or just a baseball fan in general, we're here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, if you have not liked the episode, please hit the big like button over here. Hit subscribe. We have hit 252 subscribers on the YouTubes now, which, we are growing day by day. If you listen to the audio side and on any of the audio platforms for the podcast, Apple, Spotify, what have you, please leave a 5-star rating and do a nice review because we love all of the nice words. With that, we are going to close the show and say, Yay, baseball! End record. Maybe.